Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward. The Spokane Police Department says they're concerned about an uptick in vehicle prowling in the downtown core. However, the downtown precinct is starting to find success with emphasis patrols in areas where it's happening the most. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley is joining us now to explain how officers are already cutting down on the number of car break-ins. Amanda?
Well, the Spokane Police Department opened its downtown precinct here at this location right across the street from the STA Plaza about a year and a half ago. And at that time, Chief Craig Meidel said by moving the precinct to the city's core, this would help reduce crime. And so far, data shows it's working, and here's how. The downtown precinct looks at criminal activity in a certain area and determines how officers can help reduce that crime. Then all the neighborhood resource officers in the downtown precinct will spend some time during their workday in that designated hotspot. During these emphasis patrols, officers are not just using enforcement to deter crime, they're also working with property owners in the Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design program, or CPTED. It's a free program where officers recommend changes to your property that can help prevent crime. Now, back in March, neighborhood resource officers increased their presence in the area of Madison to Cedar and Sprague to 2nd Avenue. Calls for service in that area reduced from 93 in the 2 weeks before to 57 in the 2 weeks after those emphasis patrols. And check this out, vehicle prowling reports went from 18 to 3.
That tells me that there are officers who are out doing a fantastic job in the outreach, in doing some of those CPTED recommendations, just being a visible presence so that the community sees our officers out in, a couple of square block area as a deterrent for criminal activity.
Now, once officers move on to another identified hotspot downtown, Lieutenant Steve Braun says these numbers may go back up slightly, but they rarely go back to where they were before. And he attributes this to people who implement those recommended changes to deter crime on their property. Now, the hotspot officers are focusing on here in downtown Spokane right now because their mission changes either based on every few weeks or so, a varying time frame. What they're focusing on right now is the area from Division to Spokane Street and from 2nd to Pacific. Reporting from downtown Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Let's head outside to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo, where once again the sun is shining. We can see blue sky. Hey, you might not have even needed your heavy coat today, right?
Not at all.
Excellent.
And early this morning it was quite chilly, but what a difference a few hours makes. And look at how blue that sky is. Oh, it is gorgeous out here. I can attest to that. I've just been standing around outside soaking in the beauty. 58 degrees right now, and those, once again, fair weather cumulus. And as you look around, that's all we have. Not much moisture in the atmosphere, not much anywhere. 59 in Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint, mid 60s out in central Washington. And it is nothing but sunshine, a couple of clouds up over the mountains and a little bit of moisture down across southern portions of the Idaho Panhandle. We'll hang on to those clear skies tonight. Overnight, clouds build back in, and by tomorrow, we see our next front moving through. It's likely scattered showers turning into that cold front later on in the day. So expect, well, a little bit more gloom to return to the forecast. Overnight temps fall into the 30s, but this time it's the upper 30s. We're quite a bit warmer than where we've been, and that's going to be the case across much of the inland northwest. But by tomorrow afternoon, the cloud cover keeps us a bit cooler. We top out in the 50s, but it's mid to upper 50s for eastern Washington and North Idaho.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. 3 Spokane pot shops may owe their employees as much as $300,000 from the last 3 years in back pay. That's according to a new complaint filed by the Washington Department of Labor and Industries and the State Attorney General's office. Now, the complaint alleges that workers at 3 Lovely Buds stores only received overtime pay if they worked more than 40 hours a week at one of the shop's locations. If they worked more than 40 hours a week at multiple locations, they allegedly were not paid overtime. L&I says this is the first case of its kind against a Washington state cannabis retailer. We did reach out to Lovely Buds for comment, but so far have not heard back. A vacant apartment building in Airway Heights caught fire late last night. It is out, but firefighters spent most of the day just making sure there were no additional flare-ups. That building is an old motel that was then transformed into apartment units. It has been abandoned, though, for the last 3 to 4 months, but the building is known as being a squatter location. When the fire department did arrive, they did a quick sweep of the building but didn't find anyone inside. There are also several businesses, though, right next door. Fortunately, those buildings were not damaged.
The building is probably going to be a total loss, but I really want to focus on the positive, though. We have, on the other side of this building, we have a strip mall that has Domino's Pizza and a couple of other businesses. And so our focus was trying to make sure that those buildings were not affected.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation, but no one was hurt. The Spokane County Board of Commissioners and a local nonprofit are now bringing a Western Washington homeless solution to Eastern Washington. The Homeward Bound project provides homeless people with money to relocate and stay with relatives or caretakers. Volunteers of America operates those shelters and provides resources for those who are experiencing homelessness. When Spokane County Commissioner Josh Kern saw the effects of this Homeward Bound project in King County, he reached out to VOA to help bring the service here to Eastern Washington. Now, with $20,000 committed to the program, Volunteers of America says the funds will be used to help people relocate to be closer to family or other services outside of Spokane County that can keep them off the streets.
It can be a couple $100 to $1,000 when you think about a rental deposit. Some people need a utility deposit, and then that transportation cost to get them set up in a new town, and then things to make your apartment successful for you so you can make it a home. So it adds up very quickly.
In the pilot year of this program, Volunteers of America intends to support at least 25 people. The project is completely voluntary and no one will be forced to participate. Commissioner Kern says if it is successful, though, there's potential for additional funds either before the end of the year or into next year. One lane of I-90 will be closed between the Washington State Line and Sherman Avenue in Coeur d'Alene every night for the next 2 months. Those nightly closures are going to start at 7 p.m. They'll run until 5 a.m. and they'll take place over 2 months so crews can collect data for a study on widening the interstate. According to our news partners at the Coeur d'Alene Press, only one lane in each direction will be closed at a time. Crews will focus on the section between Spokane Street and Northwest Boulevard. Drivers are being asked just to be aware of the closures, make sure and slow down and move to the opening lane. A new report is out showing tourism is up by 32% from last year in North Idaho. That's reported by KREM 2 News Partners, again, the Coeur d'Alene Press. On top of all that tourism, also it's coming from Silverwood Theme Park, where many ticket sales, they're actually up 63% from pre-COVID 2019 numbers. Silverwood's director of marketing says 75% of their visitors typically are from out of town, and typically 8 to 9% are coming from out of country in Canada. Well, yet another big win for Spokane music fans. The Smashing Pumpkins announced they are coming to Spokane Arena this coming November. That's going to be one of the biggest bands in alternative rock. The concert will also feature a special guest, Jane's Addiction, and their opener, Poppy. The concert is scheduled for Wednesday, November 9th. It's going to be at the Spokane Arena. Tickets, though, do go on sale this coming Friday, so if you want one, you're going to make sure and jump on that. Prices will range from $49 to $150. Well, it is Boomtown Week here at KREM 2 News, and we're taking a look at all the ways this area is changing. Coming up, a look at the North Spokane Corridor construction timeline, how it's changing and what still needs to be done.